Hello everyone, my name's Alex. I'm back here again, just doing a quick rendition of one of my meditation experiences last night. Oh, I say quick, but we'll see how we go. So this all started from when I was having frustrations with connecting with people, seemingly not getting the results that I wanted in regards to having those around me that were comprehending or, at least buzzing with my sort of buzz, in my sort of range. Yeah, whatever way you want to take that. And so I went into meditation. I laid on my bed and I put on some videos from Steve Nobel. I'll link him in the description because his meditations are absolutely phenomenal. Now I mean that. He's top notch. His meditations have awoken me to a lot of aspects of myself. Things I knew already but confirmed strongly, and also things I didn't know with strong confirmation. And so with that, I went into meditation. I was looking to lighten myself up. I was trying to be less dense. So from there, I went through the typical motions of attempting to astral project and, listening to the sounds, feeling your body out, creating your light body, moving through the realities in your mind, all that sort of blah blah. Where if you're looking at this sort of stuff, you've probably heard a lot of this stuff already. So I'll just keep going. So I've written down some of my things because I came out a bit woo woo afterwards. Well, regardless. So as I was attempting to astral project, I wouldn't say I was being blocked, but it just didn't feel like it was the thing that I was supposed to do at that point. So I went into acceptance. I had to humble myself, let go of all the things that brought me into that meditation, one by one and then as a whole. And from there, I decided to ask for guidance. I decided to surrender to the flow of all that is, to my highest self, to the highest self, so I can perceive the best reality and learn from where I am at right now, from what I have brought myself to, all these different points of understanding. I wanted to know more. And so after that, I was coming across quite a bit of sacred geometry. I was getting good feeling sensations. I was hearing movement all around me. I could feel presences in my room. I wasn't too upset about any of this because this isn't too new for me. I've been through these sorts of experiences a fair few times, I'd say. And from there, I was approached by a reptilian being. Now, this reptilian being didn't have a sinister nature to it, but all in all, I decided to ask this individual to humble itself before me, as did I. I humbled myself before them, this individual. Male, female, androgynous, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. And so, after this happened, we embraced each other. So I went up and gave him a hug, whatever, gave this individual a hug, and I have actually drawn an image that looks similar to what that was. So I'm not the best artist in the world, but this is what I came across. Something similar to this. Very similar. Very similar. So it wasn't like a full Komodo dragon head reptilian, it was more human-like in appearance, but still had scales. And so, yeah. After we embraced, this individual asked me for guidance, and I wasn't too sure what to say, so I went into absence of thought and just spoke, communicated, and just let it come out. And at first, I was talking about forgiveness of self, forgiving themselves for all the past deeds, all the past judgments, all the past perceptions of all the things that encompass what we are as individuals and how we identify ourselves, to forgive that, let it all go, to accept where you're at right now. And to accept where you're at right now gives you the ability to acknowledge duality, to see your actions and your choices as either left or right, light or dark, however you want to see that. And so this gives you the opportunity to let go of the ego. But I went into more in depth about that. I've only just written dot points here. And so yeah, the choices that creates for you and where that will take you in the future, and that then becomes what you are. Because the present moment is only the present moment of the past. And the future is just quite literally what we're stepping into, and all the possibilities and potentialities that we can be or experience. And so after this, after I spoke about a few things like that, or communicated about a few things like that, I pretty much sent this individual on their way. Not in a, get off my lawn sort of sort of way, just a, alright, this is good, time to move on, next. Alright, and then, yeah, so I sent him on his way without vindication. And after this, I kept being reminded of the Lyran people, the lion type individuals. Whether you guys are aware of what they are or not is a bit irrelevant at the moment, but whatever. They're just lion type people. They're precursors to a lot of genetic engineering and space travel, and all that wayfaring and discovery of self and what this is in the third dimension up into the higher dimensions as far as you want to go. I mean, how many numbers can you count? And so yeah, I asked to be guided to where I am from, and then I was shown myself as a lion-like being. This isn't the first time I've been shown this image for myself. I've seen myself as a young cub in a sort of teenagey sort of form, body, so a young lion-like being. And I was shown this again. So as I would look down at my hands, within my mind, within looking at my body, and well, what is not the mind, but yeah. So I was a lion-like being. And then after this, I was seeing a lot of sacred geometry again. So I was seeing it all around me, feeling it through very complex images that I wouldn't be able to rendition through speech or even through drawing. Some of that stuff is pretty phenomenal. And yes, as I was going through the sacred geometry, I got a large influx of darkness coming towards me at that point. It was like a big thick wave, or like a big thick ocean coming towards me. A bit smoky, but dark and purple, and I don't know if purple's the right way to describe that, but it was a dark, very darkness. And so yeah, it was attempting to envelop me, but at first it was just coming at me like in waves, and I was just being there in my sphere, in my ball of light, being myself. And I was just, like dividing the waters like Moses back in the day. And yeah, it was just going around me, and just flying back, and I was just standing there just observing. And then as I started to create more balls of light around me in a sort of a seed of life pattern, flower of life almost, I was creating all these balls that were in a tetrahedron sort of shape. I mean, they weren't tetrahedrons because they were balls, but what they were forming together through multiple balls of light started to get into the shape of a tetrahedron. And so from there, I just decided to dissipate the darkness. I was not interested in what was going on anymore. It's like, I've observed, seen what happens, yeah, so what? And I ended up just looking at this other individual that was perceiving itself as the darkness, and I realized I was perceiving myself as the light, and we ended up just starting to move in a circular-like fashion. And there was no animosity between us, it just simply was what it was. Now I've actually drawn an image of what that looked like to me. It was very much like this, very much like that. Similar to the yin-yang, but not exactly. It was on a flat plane and we were moving around each other in a circular fashion. So I hope that makes sense. And yeah, I'll leave that one. And so yeah, after all this, after all this tussle between the light and the dark, myself and the other, I pretty much dissipated all that, lost interest, and just moved on. I went back into the Lions ideas, and back into the Lyran type people, because I was more interested in that. I wanted to know more about where I'm from, because I'm aware that I'm not just Lyran, I'm a combination of a lot of things. So I don't identify as one thing other than myself, my sovereign individual, as a soul, as a body, as a mind, and also as humanity, because I'm here, so why not? And so yeah, I decided I wanted to go home to my original sort of point of perception. And I saw red grass plains all around me. It was pretty awesome. They were flowing on for quite a distance, and then they were bordered by valleys, large peaks and mountain caps and all these sort of things, but there wasn't ice. I didn't see ice. And so I decided to turn around, see what was behind me, and there was a forest. And these trees were absolutely massive. So imagine a pine tree, but 2 or 3 times the size of the normal ones. Then I decided to climb the tree, and as I was climbing the tree, I was looking at the bark and seeing all the different textures and patterns. It was similar to trees here, but more intricate. I don't want to say delicate, I want to say intricate. There was a lot more information with them. And through that, as I was climbing the tree, I was actually starting to feel the life underneath my paws, because I was still perceiving myself as a lion-like being. So as I was climbing the tree, I could feel that there was life underneath my hands, and I looked at the tree even more in depth, just stared at the bark, and looking at the patterns, I then noticed that there was a face, that it was presenting itself to me, because it was a consciousness, but it was presenting itself to me. And then I looked at it, and I smiled, gave it a wink, then I gave it a hug. And from giving that tree a hug, its branches actually started to envelop around me and hug me back, and started squeezing pretty tightly. And so naturally I squeezed tighter. I squeezed pretty tight, and it actually snapped the tree in half. I didn't intend to do that, I think, and I apologized to it. I put it back onto its head, healed it so it was all, chipper, all top notch. And it was, a little bit taken aback from what I'd done, and it started to move away from me, almost like an ant, but not quite. It was kind of just sliding across, but leaving a path in its wake. And then I went to it, I apologized, told it I loved it, whatever form it is, I accept it for what it is. And then, kind of, I don't know, we reconciled. And, yeah, okay. And I started to look around back at the grass plains again, that was now merging with more forests and stuff, so it was coming over in more like a timeline sort of thing for me. So like a time lapse, there we go. And I could see all these waters that were flowing out of the valleys and the mountains, not the mountains into the valleys, and the water was green. It had a green tinge to it. Now I don't know if this is what other people have represented the home planet of the Lyrans to be similar to. Like I have heard of the red grass before, and there were also 2 points of light in the sky. Yeah, so regardless of what other people have said about it, this was what I was perceiving last night. And yeah, I then started to feel presence around me again. Not presence, a presence. I turned a little bit and I saw that there were 3 Lyran individuals. So they were pretty much what you would expect of almost like Khajiits in the Elder Scrolls series. A fictional video game. Well, fictional, yeah. But regardless of all that, I saw these 3 individuals. They were all male, and we started bounding towards each other, like lions, and then we gave each other such ferocious hugs. It was very masculine. There was a lot of roaring and laughing and playing and pushing and nudging, and it was good. It was fun. Very powerful. More ways than one. And so yeah, after we were done playing around, I started to bounce around a bit more, started to do a bit of dancing, I was just elated, I was pretty happy. And then they seemed to be a bit puzzled as to why I was doing what I was doing. And I simply responded whilst I was doing a one-handed handstand, because I can, so I will. And yeah, it was pretty awesome. They all had a bit of a chuckle about that, like a kid playing in a sandbox again. And yeah, I felt another presence to my right, looked over my shoulder, and I saw a female lion. And we bounded towards each other again, gave each other some pretty ferocious hugs, pretty lovingly, pretty lovingly, very joyous, very happy. It was a good moment to be in touch with this individual again. And as I was spending a little bit more time in their energy, I actually recognized this female's energy. It was my mother in this lifetime. And so that confirms to me how long we've been together, how long we keep being in each other's cycles, because we've always been very close, but to a degree that we can't really explain to others. And because it goes beyond the mother-son relationship, because we've both had memories of past lives, of where we've been together, where we've been fighting each other, where we've, your left and your right polarity, all that sort of stuff. We've had a lot of fun together. Pretty awesome stuff. So yeah. Okay. Alright, so after I met this female, I felt something was happening. I don't know what, but I was just going with it. And so I wrapped my tail around a pole that had appeared behind me, and I was lifted up off the planet. And I was then taken, off the planet through the atmosphere. I was starting to see the planet as a whole, and it's very beautiful, very picturesque. And as we were getting further and further away, the planet started to break apart and then explode. And now I'm not sure if this is what actually happened or if this is just a metaphor for me to understand right now. But I was a little bit disappointed. It wasn't like a disaster to me because I knew that this had already happened, that this was just another point in time, another reference for me to experience and know at this point. And so from there I was a little bit disappointed. I wanted to know, alright, so what next? What are we doing now after this bit of a disaster? Well, catastrophe, whatever language meaning, phonetic sound label you want to attach to that. And yeah. So what happened next was I was shown that there were different crafts, different vessels in the electromagnetic web of space that were traversing through it like wayfarers to different star points. And from these star points, okay, alright, no, not yet. Alright, so within these vessels, I moved into it, and I realized that I was at the head of the vessel of the craft, and I was dressed up as a captain. I was still within a lion form, but I was dressed up in nice, regal I wouldn't say gown, but a bit of a regal uniform. And looking at all the other crewmates that were operating the vessel, that were making things tick over, I was seeing them first as light beings, just seeing their light forms, their light bodies. Then they started to form into different individuals, like similar to the cat people, but not quite. And they were very pale. No, not all of them were very pale. It's just the majority of them were a bit pale. They were rather white, long white hair, and we respected each other. There was a loose hierarchy. It wasn't like I am this set individual. Everyone was capable of doing everything. It's just the way that things pan themselves out. And so, as I was going through, no, okay, so as I was standing at the, oh, I don't even know what you would call that, because it's not a cockpit, it's like a, I don't know, I'll have to draw that. And, yeah, so from there, as I was looking over the crew members and all the people working, I noticed that there were different colours within the people. I noticed that there was some blue, some brown, some yellow, some green, and that they all respected each other with admirability. And so it was pretty cool. So we're wayfaring through the cosmos, through the stars, through space, and we started to go to different planets and colonize. Yeah, so we're colonizing because what we were doing was we were creating other genetic life forms, life experiments over vast periods of time to let them expand themselves, to create different races, to perceive things in new ways, and to also experience the game of duality that we have here in this reality, beyond this planet, in this reality. And yeah, this helps me to understand why I feel the way I do in regards to how I've always been a bit of a wanderer. Like, I'm 24 years old and I've moved 25 times in my lifetime. I mean, I know for some people that's a lot and some people that's nothing, but like, that just confirms for me that I'm a wanderer. I always have been, and that also ties up into my past lives as well, because I've got gypsy genetics. So I'm part Romanian gypsy, European gypsy, people that wandered from town to town, country to country, doing psychic readings and cards and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, a lot of fun to be had realizing that about myself, knowing that I am quite literally just a traveller, just jumping from one place to another, whatever that may be. I quite like it, to be honest. Keeps things interesting. And so yeah, this helps me to realize why I've always coined the phrase for myself to be that I am the traveling magician. See, whenever I talk to people and they ask me what I do for a living, I tend to just come out with, I don't know, ludicrous answers, like, oh, I'm a traveling magician. It's like, oh, righto, okay. So what else do you do? Oh, I do psychic healing. Oh, okay, righto. What else do you do? So, oh, well, I can see into the future. I can see into the past. I can see the now, and what all those potentialities and possibilities have been and done. And so I tend to not really connect with people very well. But yeah, I don't know. That's a past thing. I'm going to be coming across new people that will understand this. For there are those that will be watching this video now, and if you've managed to stay interested all the way along, then congratulations. It's fantastic to know that there are people that want to know this sort of stuff. So yeah, I'll do a quick recap and then I'll finish this off. So I went into meditation with frustrations about life. I let go of my frustrations about life and asked for guidance for where I needed to be. And so from asking for guidance for where I needed to be, that opened me up to the possibility of being a guide for another. So I had a reptilian type being come to me, ask for guidance, I gave guidance. Now after giving guidance, I asked about the lyrans, since I kept being reminded of them. I was shown myself as a lyran. And then from there, I was taken to the Lyran planet after a lot of sacred geometry. And so from there, sorry, just distracted by old people yelling outside. And yeah, so after discovering about myself being Lyran, I was then moved or appeared on a planet that I was told to be the Lyran's home planet. So I looked at all the things that were there. I looked at the life forms. Oh, I say life forms. I looked at the trees, and then I looked at the lyrans. So I met three lyrans and three male lyrans, one female lyran, and reconnected with my pride. And from there, I watched the destruction of the planet, watched how we moved on, created new races, and moved on. Yeah, it just kept going to the point to where we're at now, with all the different experiences and all that sort of stuff that's brought us to this point. And so, yep, I have to leave it at that since I've made it for a very, very long video. And regardless, I hope you have a fantastic day. I'm very grateful for anyone who's watched and listened and been and sat in my energy and experienced the love and light that is of all that is. So yeah, thank you. Until I see you again.